Yo, 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 guys, what is up? And welcome back to another episode of the Games Since Clay podcast. It's your boy Gautam, joined by my boys Matt, and we got a new guest today and subbing in for Chuck. Chuck, so we miss you. Big day to talk about Dubs, but welcome to the show, my boy Alex. Alex, how we doing, brother?
I'm good. What's up, guys? Thanks for having me on. Excited to talk about all these different scenarios. I know it's a time where we don't know what's going to happen. There's a lot of uncertainty, but we've seen that before with this team. So excited to run through it with you guys.
100%, man. Welcome, Matt. Again, how we doing, brother? It's been we recorded not even 2 days ago, but obviously current circumstances called for an emergency pod rant therapy session. We did it after the
Yeah,
Kings game, but I had to hop on, man. I had to hop on today.
dude. When you are guessing something shitty is gonna happen every time you make a guess, you're right sometimes. So I called it. I got this one right, right? Called an L. That was we did this last year, and I think we did it the year 2 years before, but like we're just getting to that point where we have very many worst losses of the season now. So this might be the new worst loss of the season, but I don't know that anymore. This just fucking sucks. So I don't know what to do with this team anymore, man. So I'm not doing too hot overall, dubs wise. We talked about it last week. We were kind of on like the is this over fence, and Draymond might have just like shoved us downward, or shoved us over that fence, man. Maybe he just made it clear. I don't know.
Perfect place to pick up, man. Obviously, talking about last night, Warriors played the Suns in Phoenix, a 119-116 loss. And really, it was just the same script, and it was a different night. That we've seen this the same kind of loss the last four road games. Kings, Clippers, Thunder, and now the Suns, the Warriors dropped to 10-13 in another game. I gotta have a game. Matt, we talked about it on the pod a couple days ago. Just right going into that Phoenix game, just about turning the page and like having to stack W's and putting it together. Full 48 minutes and a shaky start again by the starters, but that bench unit came in, built up a 14-point lead. You had I forget what the deficit was going or what the lead was going. I think it was three going into half, and then changed up the starting lineup at halftime. Started Moody and Pods. Was that right? Moody, J.K.
Coming gun
J.K.
pods
and
started
Pods
second half. Yeah.
subbed in for Wiggins and Looney, and we're looking good, looking great. And then our boy Draymond Green comes in trying to sell a call. Was Nurkic's hands on his hips or
I'm
something?
sorry. It can't be. It can't be. Alex, I want
And
to hear your
just
thoughts here, man. Gotham is telling us he
roundhouse
saw a
him.
call. I'm saying he turned around and he came closer to swinging and selling something. Alex, where do you fall on this, man? And also, just give us your reaction to it. Draymond, to be clear, guys, Gotham, you might have said this. Like he's suspended indefinitely, right?
Yeah,
He's
yeah.
there's
Draymond's
no
out
Draymond
officially.
is indefinitely suspended. He has to meet. He has the jaw suspension, right? He needs to meet a certain criteria according to both the Warriors and the league to come back. But yeah, Alex, first of all, your reaction, and then also I do want to know, inadvertent, was he swinging? Was it? It doesn't matter. Go.
Yeah, I'll start with that. I think it's hard to say it's inadvertent. I think he was probably trying to sell the call, but also probably thought the refs wouldn't notice. And we've seen stuff like this from Draymond before, so not surprised. Very disappointed though. Like I said, he's gone away with a lot of this stuff before, but just kind of a magnifying glass on him now, especially from the playoff incident with Sabonis and the most recent suspension. Um, the refs just aren't giving him the benefit of the doubt anymore. Like if there's any semblance of a flagrant act, he's going to be out. He has that reputation. He's built that reputation. Although he's provided like a fire for a team for a long time, and part of it's doing kind of uh, acts like this and getting under the other team's skin. It's reached a point where it's just detrimental to our team and obviously our season here. We're in crunch time earlier than expected. We have to start our push to get back into the playoff picture. Um, so I'll leave it at that for now. But very disappointed.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, I think disappointment. Go Gotham. Yeah, I think disappointment's kind of where we're all at at this
Yeah,
point. It's
disappointment. I maybe I'm biased as a Warriors truther and like a Draymond fan. I completely buy his post game reaction. I'm not trying to absolve Draymond of any idiocy, selfishness, whatever he like. It was stupid. It was like a completely unforgivable, deserved suspension, I believe. But I genuinely felt like it was one of those like he was like trying to sell it, kind of just flailed his arms, and like I'm with you, I'm with Draymond, man. Like you can't. He's not that good of a fucking puncher to roundhouse a dude looking backwards. It just, I think it was just bad, wrong place, wrong time. Terrible. I'm not trying to defend him, but I see maybe it does sound like I'm trying to defend him, but like I get, like you said, Alex. So like we've seen this before. He's got a target on his back. So to come in, especially after the Gobert incident, where you know I think much more egregious. With the choke was way more egregious, way more deliberate.
For sure.
Deliberate's the word I'm looking for instead of inadvertent. But regardless, like you said, man, like the target's on his back. And for the thing that pissed me off the most was the Warriors were up 5, and that lineup, that starting lineup for the second half was looking good, man. Like they looked spry on the court. There was a lot more space. Draymond at the 5 was able to get to the hoop a couple times on some of those naked handoffs. Really starting to open stuff up. And for something completely stupid, the Warriors had momentum. They were up 5, and starting to build the lead a little bit back. And just like that, Draymond's out. Again, similar to all the other times that we've seen Draymond get ejected or miss games this season. And that's been the biggest issue for me with Draymond has been he's looked great when he's out there, but he's been suspended for 5 games. He's been ejected from 3. We're 23 games in. The dude has missed 8 games or 9.
By the time this is done, no matter what that is, he'll have missed more than half the season. Whenever this is done, he's gonna have
Yeah,
missed
and
who knows how long. But
completely of his own doing, and this is now 2 seasons that Draymond has completely ruined the vibes. Obviously last year with the Jordan Poole punch, and the team after the season going out and saying like the punch derailed what we were coming off a championship, ruined the vibes, and they made whatever moves they did, and for Draymond to get paid. Get that contract in the offseason and coming in talking about, this is the most important season of our lives, of our careers, whatever it is, and to again mess up for the 3rd time, get ejected and do that. It was just exhausting. I was done with it. I'm done with Draymond in terms of like the antics. The cons outweigh the pros at this point. Like what we see on the court is good. I don't know. It's just I'm just over it. Like Matt, I know we were talking about it yesterday in the group chat, but all 3 of us, you, me, and Chuck, we were done. I know Chuck is completely off. So are you and I. But like the fact that
I want to be clear. I want Draymond going nowhere. I don't want to trade Draymond, and I also don't think they can get a whole lot for him, just given like he's uniquely
I don't think he
valuable
can
to
get
this
traded
team.
or anything, but it's more so just a realization.
Dude, I'm telling you, man, he's like an emotional Benjamin Button, dude. Like he started off at his like emotional peak at probably age 6 or 7, and then like he gets to his 30s, and all of a sudden we're working with I don't know what version of this is, man. It's like the kid who got his toy taken. He's reactionary, man. He reacts. He doesn't have any sense of like pausing and processing. It seems like it's like he sees Gobert's arm on Clay's neck for a third of a second, man, and then all of a sudden he's got Gobert in the chokehold for 25 minutes, dude. I don't know. I don't know what to do this guy anymore, man. That's where I'm at. I'm done with him as far as like a dude you got to learn. But I can't. I'm sorry. The team needs him still. I'm gonna be frank.
100%,
Like this
100%.
team can't win without Draymond. Like straight up. Like that's the shittiest part. And I do want to get to the like you made a good point, I think, dude, in saying that Kerr finally made some like big changes. Like Wiggins has been ass for the whole season, right? Clay has been shooting. I think if Clay shot blindfolded but knew where he was in the court, he might have the same percentage that he has now. You know what I mean? Like I think you gave him like he's that good of a shooter. Was the funny part, right? But Kerr finally made some changes, man. Got Loon out of there, got Wiggins out of there, and like you said, got to the rack. It felt like a seminal moment in the season, and it's just shattered. Alex, what again? Do you feel like this team can even survive without Draymond going forward? And if so, who in your head is the guy or the guys that got to step up, and who are you looking at right now?
Yeah, I don't think we've reached the point of no return with this team, even without Draymond. Obviously, we've seen Clay kind of fall off a cliff. People have kind of hinted at him being washed for the last 2 seasons, and I think now it's kind of finally fair to call him that. I think a lot of people aren't talking about his defense. I think we've kind of just given him the benefit of the doubt on that side of the ball. He has size, experience guarding the best wings in the league, and now he guards smaller bigs. And I think now it's kind of becoming an issue for us. Last year, defense is one of our biggest issues, and I think quietly it's one of his the weakest parts of his game right now. The shooting, I think, can come back. We've seen Clay catch fire. I know he had a big shooting slump last season, kind of caught fire at the end of the year. Went away in the playoffs again, unfortunately, but I'm not ready to give up on Clay yet. But we do need some people to step in Draymond's absence, and I think Kerr is finally willing to make these significant moves. I think he kind of reached the point of insanity. He was doing kind of the same thing over and
He
over
broke,
again.
man. He broke. It happened.
Yeah, exactly. And I think he's willing to try anything now. And that's what we should be approaching the situation like. And I think part of that's inserting a guy like Jonathan Kuminga in the starting lineup. I think that's probably an important step. I think he's proved that he can play with the best. He's one of our best scorers right now. We've had the problem of having another guy besides Steph. I think he's ready to fill that role, at least like numbers wise. I think he can get 20 in his sleep if he's getting the shots. Um, but I think him and the young guys, we're really gonna have to lean into them. And lastly, Chris Paul. You know, Chris Paul is gonna have more playmaking responsibility with Draymond out. I don't think we can give up on Chris Paul yet. We haven't seen a large enough sample size, and I think he's a basketball savant and has a lot of potential with this team. He's also just going to have to take a bigger leadership role with Draymond gone. He's going to have to be that veteran presence.
Yeah, I think my guess for tomorrow is we do see Chris Paul in that starting lineup. We know Kerr loves nothing more than Steph being off ball to start a game, so makes it a little more doable. I also love that you brought the leadership aspect because, like, going into the season, I think Kerr even said like Chris Paul fills a leadership void, and a lot of fans reacted like, how insulting is this to Steph and Draymond? Steph, again, the guy can do no wrong in our eyes, my eyes at least. I know Gotham could Steph could kill a family member. Gotham would still be on board, I think. But Draymond is, this isn't leadership at this point, right? If you're not around to lead your team, that's just that's not what you are any longer. And I'm not gonna, to your point. I'm cool with Chris Paul getting out of here. I don't think it's because he hasn't been good. I think it's been great. I think it's been great this season for the Warriors. But as far as leadership goes, yeah, they need someone to fill that void right now. And he does seem somehow, other than Steph, the most even keel adult on the team, and that includes Steve Kerr, I think, at this point. Like, and so I love that take, man. I think Chris Paul's gonna have to step up. I think it's gonna be huge. I think getting Kuminga in there and Moody in there, especially for me, like, I'm sorry, Wiggins got 15 minutes last night, and I don't think they missed him for a minute when he wasn't out there, to be totally frank. They had Moody out there playing well. They had Kuminga out there playing well. Going against the Clippers wings tomorrow, and Paul George might be out, fingers crossed. They're going to need all three of those guys. And if Wiggins isn't getting it done on a single end, which he has not been of late, right? Get him out. I agree. Hit the young guys, let them play. Gotham.
I'm with you, man, and I completely agree. I think we need the young guys to step up, and I think this has been something we've seen. Like, these guys are more than ready to take that leap. J.K. Moody, Pods, he's shown, over the last like 5-10 games, I think that he, given the opportunity, he's going to be able to, he's great rebounder. There's one play last night that stood out. I think it was off a free throw miss. He came in, just, got the board. I think he was the one that ended up hitting the three on that same possession. And so just that
11 boards, man. 11
just
boards.
insane for what is he, 6'4", 6'4" guard to come in off the bench to have that sort of impact. So yeah, definitely got to lean into the youth. But man, there's a reason why I'm wearing this jersey right now, and obviously it's for Steph Curry, but it's on Steph, man. I think that as much as we've put on the 35-year-old superstar that he is, the lack of play from guys like Clay, Wiggins, Looney, Steve Kerr, obviously just the last couple games has looked to, make those adjustments. But, so far we haven't really been, like you said, Matt, I'm not going to believe it until I see it for a solid number of games. But it's on Steph to help us navigate through this, man. Like, as much as, like you said, we see Steph and he does nothing wrong in our eyes, and he really hasn't. But this is what he signed up for in terms of like his vision for what this team is going to look like. He wanted to keep guys like Clay, Draymond, Wiggins, and not to fault him. I mean, we were all there. They won a championship less than 2 years ago, a year and a half. So, but for the team to be teetering like they are right now, especially with Draymond gone, and it's really what makes this whole Draymond thing so much bigger than just another Draymond incident where this one feels different because of how much it's put on Steph. You're seeing him. I haven't seen him this pissed off during games since that 21 season where he was kicking chairs, like getting into dudes. And that was a team that, had no business even making the playoffs until Steph, had that, absolute heater in March and April to get him to the play-in even. So, the fact that you came in with championship aspirations this season and you're sitting at 10-13, Alex, like you said, man, like, I don't think this team is at a point of no return from, figuring it out wise. Like, you have 59 games and, if any team that I've seen can go on another run and it's a Steph Curry led team, can, rail off 5-6 wins. And again, they've played the hardest schedule. The schedule is going to lighten up. They play some Eastern Conference teams here coming up in December, January going in. So there's opportunities to right the ship. And I'm not going to sit here and be like the season's over or, the Steph run's over, but it's now fully on him. And it really, it's sad that it is. The guy's 35 and, is the only guy averaging above 20 points per game on this team. Only team that doesn't have multiple 20-point per game scorers. But that's what the situation is. Like, you're going to need some superhuman stuff from Steph, and that's how they survive, man. It's going to be leaning into that youth. Keeping the leashes short. I think last night was a huge message sent by Steve Kerr, and I've been super critical of Steve Kerr this season. Just with, like you said, just kind of being the definition of insanity is doing the same thing and hoping for a different result. And that's what Steve Kerr is doing, just riding with these guys. And, he kind of gave that explanation of, I trust these guys, giving them the rope. But, last night I was listening to Steve Kerr's post-game presser and, he was short with the media. He was
pissed off, man.
He was,
pissed off last night.
And rightfully so. And to me, it sounded like he was just like, yo, I've given you guys 20-something games and you guys haven't done anything with it. So I have to go to a different direction. And
he sounded like a dad who was like trying so hard to give his kid chances, and the kid finally fucked up too many times. And he was like, dude, I'm sorry. You're a moron. And I've tried so hard
you're
to convince myself otherwise for so long now. And I'm not doing this anymore. And and now that he's kind of broken away from it, I get it even more, to be honest. I get how hard that must have been for a guy who, like, he will die with Klay Thompson, man. Like, he will.
Look,
yeah, no, he should, and I get it, but it's now that it's hopefully done. Like you said, I'm not going to buy it until it's been a month, 2 months. You know what I mean? That he's actually been willing to bench Klay when Klay is not playing well. To be clear, like, but I get it. I get it more now that he's done it, because this guy looked angry and he looked miserable. They all look fucking miserable. No one looked happy after yesterday. So I get it now.
The silver lining I will take is how well Steph and the young guys look together in that yet another fake comeback. I think Chuck was the one who said it last night. Every Warriors game has been the same script, man. They shoot like Wiggins and Clay shoot for like 3 for 70. They've given up the dummy free throws, there's insane turnovers, fake comeback, and the Warriors lose by less than 5 points. And we saw that again last night. But that comeback with that young squad and staff, I'd love to see them start on Thursday. Not to say that that should be a long-term play, but if Steve Kerr was serious about riding with the guys that are playing well, I think I don't see him doing it, but I think it'd be awesome to see him start with that closing lineup that finished the game last night. Because they played really well, man. They obviously they were forcing turnovers just with the running full court press, and but it just felt more smooth out there. Moody, Kuminga, Pods, TJD I think had some decent minutes in terms of what he can bring. I'm personally on the side of like, hey, like the guy's just a younger center, hard to develop, but for a team that doesn't have size and with Looney playing, not as well as he has,
I can guarantee you Looney gonna be out there tomorrow.
He's not. I don't think he's
gone.
I don't think he's going to start.
He's going to start. They're going to start Looney tomorrow. I'll be very surprised, man. No Draymond. They're not going with Sarge to the 5 without Dre, I don't think, to start a game.
It's fair.
In my opinion, but hey, Alex, you kind of give us your 2 cents on who you want to see step up a bit tomorrow. Tip off. Who do you want to see out there?
Yeah. First off, I think it's important that Kerr's tone has changed. I mean, you can only give a guy so many chances. He kind of kept falling back on the fact that we won a championship a year and a half ago. I think you kind of got to stop doing that now. It's the league has gotten younger. They were attacking guys on
A
our
year and a
team.
half is a long time with those legs,
A
man.
long time. Exactly. And I think tomorrow we'll see some drastic rotation shifts. I think a lot of Jonathan Kuminga, Moses Moody minutes, a lot of Podziemski. I think he's earned that, like Kerr says. Um, I don't think he's at the point to take Clay out of the starting lineup. We know Clay's a very fragile guy. And if we want to win anything this season, I'm sorry, we're gonna need him. We're gonna need him to get hot at the right time and make shots. He's still the second best shooter on our team, maybe a top 5 shooter in the league when he's feeling it still. So we still got to lean into him and pour into him. I think Wiggins is a special case because we've seen it, but in very small samples. Like the playoff run he had, I was talking to Gautam today against the Mavericks and then against Boston in the finals. That was special stuff. He thought he was the best player on the court. Seems like he lost kind of all that confidence.
That guy's dead, man. I'm sorry, he's not coming back.
Never
I
looks
don't
like a
think.
shot's going
I think
in.
he's gone.
And
Yeah.
it's wild because Wiggs every time he's played well, even this season, man, it's always been some weird injury. It's been some obviously. I mean, I had the extended absence last year, but that came at a time where he started figuring it out. Even this year, man, before that finger injury, he put together 2 or 3 games where I think he had 28 against the Thunder. He was
Yep.
putting together some performances, and so another just weird injury, just slamming a car door in his face. And I just don't think he's had the rhythm going for him, and he is especially a rhythm player. But yeah, man, Alex, sorry to cut you off, but I just
No, good. I agree with what you're saying. And I just look back, like he has such a weird career right now. If you look back on it, started as a, generational prospect, put up big numbers in Minnesota, but couldn't win games. Comes here, takes a while to figure it out, but when he does, he looks amazing. He's maybe the second best player on our team. And then he's kind of fallen into a slump again. And he's 28, I believe. I still think he can rediscover some semblance of what he was, but we can't expect him to be a 15 plus point scorer right now. It's just not reasonable. I think he'd be better suited coming off the bench and maybe rediscovering his form.
I'd love to see no expectations Wiggins, man. Off the bench is no expectations. Get him out there. See if Chris Paul can get him going. Who knows? But
And
I
I'd
agree.
love to see like just stop coddling the big guy, man. I feel like every time Wiggins has been given a challenge, I think it was 2021 is when he started like kind of putting it together. And it was when a kind of similar conversation. What is this guy gonna bring? Like, what's the ceiling with Wiggins? And he started figuring out. And obviously, 22 played it himself into an all-star, and then that playoff run, like you said, was special. So I want to see, like you said, I'm with you. I don't think you can bench Clay. I think, and just from an offensive standpoint, like Clay's gravity is still a very real thing. Like teams have to still respect, that shot, and when he's open and he's not taking just the stupidest shots you can ever think of. The man's still a sniper, and like that's something that he's always gonna have. So that respect's always gonna be there. So Clay, I'm not as much worried about. It's more so just seeing the shots start to fall. And Clay's, historically been a slow starter. So it's around this time, even last year, where he started figuring out December, January. But for Wiggins, man, I'm with you, A. Scott. I think that if you can bring him off the bench and really tell him, like, yo, your spot is up for grabs. And, like, if you're not going to bring it, we have guys that can with JK, Kuminga, and even Pods stepping in. So I'd love to see
So
tough love with him.
some fun numbers, guys. Warriors Kuminga with Clay and Steph, they're plus 16 points per 100 possessions, which is fucking great. It's only 34 minutes so far this season, but still. You mentioned Pods. Not a whole lot of minutes, but again, you gotta include, sorry, the caveat here and the saddest part of the season is Wiggins just like tanks every lineup. Like if you put Wiggins in any lineup, it's like it's incredible. So when Wiggins isn't out there, but it's Pods, Clay, Steph, and JK, only 10 minutes so far, but again, they're plus 8.5, a little more than 8.5 for 100 possessions. So I'm just saying, man, it's not a crazy concept. Like when you have these two, to your point, right? You're saying, you guys are both saying like, hey, we can't bench Clay. And I don't, again, I've been trying to say this all season, don't want it. If he's not playing well in a game, then bench him. You cannot start that guy on the bench. But if you got Kuminga out there with space and Pods out there with space, not two guys, the only two guys on the team who like going to the rack, get him Clay, get him Steph. It looks good. It's not a lot of time so far, but I think, hey, we saw a little bit of it the other night, like you said, Gautam and Alex, right? 2 minutes, look good until Draymond turned around and just took out his European frustration on Nurkic, man. So I'm
Mario
like,
Sarge better hide, man. Draymond is
oh, if I'm sorry, I'm running for my life, man. It's
Mario
tough.
you come.
So I just think just roll with the youth. Love that you brought that up, both you guys, but I don't know. I don't know where this is going anymore, boys. I'm feeling lost.
I know.
Yeah, I think it could get ugly. I think if Clay's coming off the bench at some point this year, it could get really ugly. Just with his confidence, and I think he'd lose like all his fire. And it would obviously point to him not re-signing with us. Obviously, there was those rumors he turned down the contract. I think also like people forget like Kerr Kerr's without a contract too, and I
He's
think this
young.
is this will have to be his best coaching job. He's gonna have to find something that works, whether it's through a trade potentially or just tinkering in the lineup. But this could be the turning point. I think we also maybe have to be optimists, look at this glass half full. Like if nothing got Kerr to change, this could. I know it's hard to do right now, but we
Well,
gotta just experiment. We gotta try different things. We can't just lean on us being a championship team and having these guys in our core. We got to bring new guys in. We got to bring new energy in. And we've seen success with that in the numbers that you brought up. And I think we just got to roll with them, give them as much confidence as we can.
I love
Yeah,
it.
I love that you use the word experiment, man. I think that's huge here. I think that you have to at this point because it's like a long marriage. It's been 30 years of marriage. Stuff's getting old. You got to figure out some new things. And I think you're totally spot on, man. Keep
Experiment.
rolling with the new things.
Matt, I know we this is gonna come to a little surprise for you, but I know you're gonna love this.
Go.
Alex came prepared. Talk about a guest that knows ball. He came in and he mentioned a fun part of it. Got to find something that works, and it could be through tweaks, but he also said it could be through trades. And Hey Scott, I know you cooked up some trades coming into this. I'd like to see and hear what you kind of put through the trade machine. What works? What is your vision to see how we can potentially change this up, man? Because like you said, I know Matt and I, we are Matt especially. I know you've said it a lot. Like I'd rather see something new and lose than see whatever the fuck we've been seeing for the last
Totally.
year and a half or so. So, hey Scott, take it away, man. What trades you got?
Yeah, so you're not gonna hear like the classic Pascal Siakam, OG Anunoby talk. I'm kind of against both those guys personally, especially given what we would have to give up. I'm kind of thinking more out of the box, looking at some veterans, maybe some defensive stoppers. But we also always need shooting on this team, as we know. So, my first one is someone who everyone in the league probably wants. But I think everyone's kind of focusing on Zach LaVine, but I think Alex Caruso is a guy that Steve Kerr obviously loves. I think he's spoken highly of him in the past. It would take a lot to get him. The Bulls really like him. We'd probably have to give up one of Kuminga, Moody, maybe one of our veteran pieces and a pick, but even that's an overpay. Desperate times call for desperate measures, and he may be a guy at the top of that list that Dunleavy is exploring acquiring.
So I love Crusoe, man. Crusoe is the kind of guy who I'm not breaking any news, right? The guy can play anywhere. Like he can play anywhere. He's a dog. He's had some really good shooting seasons. I think he's hurt right now. I kind of forget. But if I'm the Warriors, first of all, yes, give me a good basketball player. Give me a good basketball player. I'll be thrilled. I'm not gonna lie. If I'm doing that, I'm probably trading GP2. I'd give me the guy again. Crusoe healthier in general, a little more reliable as a shooter. I don't know if we've noticed this about our guy Gary Payton II. Love him to death. He cannot put the rock on the floor. He cannot. If he's dribbling the ball, it's not smooth sailing, man. It's rough waters out there for him. So I'm open. I love it, man. I love getting Crusoe on the team. I'm not gonna lie. You said desperate times, right? I think it's also a beggars can't be choosers scenario too. So if I'm the Warriors, I'm becoming more and more open to a like Caruso, DeMar DeRozan scenario, depending on what you give up. Just because, again, I think this team is so starving for shot creation and just scoring in the paint in general. And obviously, DeRozan's a guy who he's like the anti Jordan Poole from last year, and he just loves getting the rack. So yeah, I love it, man. If they can pull it off, at this point, it's Gotham. Want to hear your thoughts here, man. But like, it's just a weird scenario. I think going into the season, I think most people in Warriors fandom in the community would probably be like, yeah, willing to move off of whoever to get a good player. At this point, I don't know anymore. Like Kuminga and Moody and Podziemski are just outplaying the old guys at this point. And it's a weird trade-off to see, hey, what are you getting from if you're giving up the youth right now, it's now actually a matter of production, where before, in my opinion, it was a matter of potential. Does that make sense? So if you could do that with his picks, I'd absolutely do it. I'm probably a little more hesitant now to move on from the young guys than I was. Not saying I wouldn't do it with the right guy. Caruso, again, like I said, I do GP2 and see what else it takes, perhaps, or even like sorry to see him go. Loondog is not moving side to side the way he used to, and those 75-year-old hips are catching up. So, Gautam, Luke Caruso, give me your 2 cents, man.
Yeah, man, I'm with you. Like you said, like just having the right, like getting another basketball player, 3-and-D guy. I think, like you said, Steve Kerr loves him. I think he'd fit in great. Would play kind of another one of those connector guys, similar to GP, Moses, JK guys that can kind of come in. You can kind of run the offense a little bit through, kind of let Steph work, and also just kind of can beat you with the shot as well. Matt, I'm more on your side just in terms of like the youth production. Like I think that the guys that should legitimately be on the trade block are, funnily enough, the guys that are making the most money right now, and that would be Wiggins, CP. Even though like Scott, like you said, man, CP's been great for us in a Warriors uniform.
CP has been the second best player on the team,
He's
probably.
been great,
As
man.
far as
Like,
consistency, man, it's not his fault. It's just like
yeah,
we're
it's
paying
just
$30 million
strictly from a
for a backup.
contract standpoint.
No.
I think it'd be Wiggins, Chris Paul, Loon, like guys that would be tough to move off of, because I don't know what you'd get for Wiggins at this stage. I think his trade value is at the lowest that it possibly is. Chris Paul probably more enticing just with that contract coming off. The Warriors have a couple first round picks as well. But I'm with you, man. I just think that guys like Moody, Kuminga, Pods, like they can help this team right now. You can play them next to Steph and Clay, and they can get out there and legitimately impact the game, impact winning, and I can see that production happening on a game-to-game basis. So the fact that, yeah, like I like again, like it really depends on the package, but like you said, beggars can't be choosers, and it is starting to get to desperate times in terms of what this roster looked like, especially with Draymond missing, whatever it is, man, like 15, 20 games. Who knows? But yeah, Ace guy, you got another one in the.
Yeah, I got one more in the chamber.
Yeah.
I want to be clear. I'm anti-trading Jonathan Kuminga. I think whatever we're gonna get back, I think Kuminga will be a better player than that person. Whenever that is, whenever he sprouts into that. And he can help our team now. I fully agree. Also huge Pods and Moses Moody stand. So I think it'd have to be the right package, and I think we would probably have to move off of Wiggins, GP, and Chris is the most obvious, just because provides teams a lot of flexibility next year. But another team I was looking at, which is interesting, is the Nets. They have a lot of guys. I think they've been looking to trade for a superstar to kind of complete this team. I mean, Mikal Bridges is their number one. He's obviously not on the table. I don't think Cam Johnson's an option for us either. But I think a guy like Dorian Finney-Smith, just kind of a guy who can guard 1 through 5, can hit a corner three. I think especially if we're able to acquire him somehow while Draymond's gone, he can kind of fill that void. And then another guy I was looking at on that team is Spencer Dinwiddie. He might cost us a little bit more, but he's a big guard, can obviously hit the pull-up jumper. And I think he's a guy who can play kind of an off-ball role for us. Veteran guy, maybe can give more than what some of the guys we currently have are giving.
And what would that package look like just during the like with the salaries and everything?
Yeah, I think they'd probably ask for Moses Moody, for Dinwiddie, Moses Moody, and I mean maybe Chris Paul at this point. Who knows? I don't know how much Dinwiddie's making. I think it's a fair amount. It's probably near 20 million a year. So yeah, we run into problems with the contracts. I think
So I
teams
got
are
good
going to
news for
try
you,
to.
Alex. I got
Well,
good news, man. That trade is like to a T. If you said Chris Paul and Moody, salary wise for Dinwiddie and Dorian Finney-Smith, to a T. Golden. I cut you off, man. I just wanted to let you know your money's good.
Okay, cool.
Call him Mike Dunleavy, man.
Hey.
Hey, if he needs help, I'm here for him. But I think there's a lot of teams that are going to try to take advantage of us too. So I think we got to look out for that. And I think Dunleavy, he's been in the business long enough. He's been around the league. He's not going to get swindled, but I think we have to make a pretty bold move, whether that's through a trade or just completely reshaping this lineup.
Yeah, I love that kind of deal, and I think the Nets are going to be a team that like they've got Dorian Finney-Smith, I think they have Royce O'Neal on that team now. They've got Dinwiddie, and like I think if you're moving off Chris Paul and you don't feel totally comfortable giving the key to the second unit to Pods just yet, I think having a guy like Dinwiddie on your bench is great. I also think again that kind of leaves space for a second move, in my opinion. Like, hey, if you move CP and Moody, right? At that point, I'm trying to see what I can do with Wiggins and picks. Like, if that's all it takes to get those guys, I don't know if that's all it takes. But again, if you get off Wiggins and your wings are Dorian Finney-Smith, Kuminga, and maybe Moody, it can upgrade from Wiggs too later in the offseason or later in the trade deadline. I love it. I love that kind of move.
It
I
just
am
shakes
just
things
like,
up. I think
it
that's
does.
important.
It does. I only thing I would be like, it's just Moody, man. He's like he seems so ready to do things right now. So I'm hesitant to move off, but I think going to Brooklyn and looking at their wings and Dinwiddie as well. If I'm Big Mike, I'm calling. Okay, I
It's
love it,
wild.
Alex.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's a fire one, and I think that kind of hits on like kind of the needs right now. You can kind of get a secondary scorer with Dinwiddie, a guy, especially with the second unit, can kind of come in, put it in the bucket. A guy that's I think it was before his injuries, but he was balling out for the Nets in his first stint with them, and then obviously with the Mavs next to Luka, he looked really good. So a guy that can has been a number two, is kind of shoulder that number one option for a little bit here and there, but can definitely ease the load off of Steph and Clay hopefully once he gets going. But I've always liked Dorian Finney-Smith. I think, like you said, just with Draymond out, another bigger body can hit the three, and defend 1 through 5. That's really just what this team needs. And if you have it, if you're able to keep like Kuminga and Pajemski, and obviously love Moses, but like you said, man, like desperate times call for desperate measures. Moses is a guy that teams are gonna like, and he's gonna be a very valuable like asset for the Warriors. Regardless of what he's got. But yeah, I think that's a solid trade.
Yeah, I think an underrated aspect of those two players too. Those are the vets on that team. That's a really young team, and those are the guys that are looked up upon and taking charge. I think they've seen a lot in this league, and when he's bounced around a fair amount, um, and that can't hurt us right now. I think if we keep most of the young guys, as many as we can, and install them into our lineup and rotation, I think that can only help the maturity of this team and also take the load off Kerr a little bit. I think his stress level is as high as it's ever been right now, and it makes sense. But I think that's an underrated aspect of trading for guys like that. Just they've been around the league. They probably know how to fill a variety of roles, and I think they'd be a nice addition just to shake things up on this roster.
yeah, I love that. And to your
100%.
point, Kerr looks like he's gone through 3 presidential terms, man. He looks.
I can see why this homie says he doesn't want to run for president, because this job must be it's probably more stressful, man. Yeah, you got an 80-year-old running for in the office. Steve Kerr is looking like he's about to be 80 years old in like a couple months. So
He
uh,
looks.
you
Yeah, it
look
looks like
hey
he's gone through a blizzard, man. That's how he looks
the
every day.
moniker Sleepy Steve was been coined the last few weeks, but last night was the first look at Serious Steve. Made the right decisions, made the right moves in terms of playing the right guys. But boys, before we get out of here, it's been a fun little therapy sesh, little rant, and also kind of just how can we fix this team and how do we move going forward. But again, another game tomorrow night, another road game against a red hot Clippers team. They're starting to put it together. Harden, Westbrook, not LeBron, Paul George, and Kawhi. They're starting to really put that together. Obviously, the Warriors blew a lead against them. Me and A Scott were actually in attendance for that game, and it was insane to watch that a live blown lead. Paul George little step back three over Clay. But predictions for tomorrow night, man. Can the Warriors just? I don't even. Are they gonna blow another one? Because they're gonna at some point they're gonna look good. But they're what's your take, Matt? What's your prediction?
Oh shit. So no, I mean, I actually they might win this game. I think PG's out. He's probably the toughest cover for the Warriors right now, especially with Wiggins. Just like again, he's a blindfolded man. If he's out, I think the Warriors take it. If he's not out, I don't. I mean, it's so hard for me to imagine this team winning games without Draymond right now. So a lot of it hinges on PG, but my gut says it's a win either way, but I know whenever I say that it's an L. So I'm kind of like, I feel like I'm one of those, I'm mystic. I feel like I've got mystical powers right now, man. So I'm gonna fuck this up somehow. No, I'm saying a dub. I'm gonna say a dub. I'm not ready to be hurt. Okay, I'll be up till again. Last night's game. I'm in Phoenix, Arizona, man. That game went till 11 o'clock. Okay, I can't do this stuff. That's too long, but it's gonna happen again tomorrow. Um, no, I'm saying it's a dub.
Dub City. Hey, Scott, what we
Yeah.
got, man?
I agree. I just think this team's gone through a lot of adversity, and I think this is the lowest point of the season, hopefully. And I think guys will come ready to play. I hope I don't jinx myself again. But yeah, I think it's a big Steph night. I don't think they have anyone that can guard him. And with PG being out, I think that just takes away one more scorer. So I think we can capitalize on that.
Hell yeah. I totally agree, man. Matt had to bounce, but we got his prediction off. I'm with you, man. I think that the Warriors, it's go time. It has been. They've been there. Like as shitty as these losses have been, they've had leads in every single one. Now it's really just about bringing them home. I just don't think Steph's gonna lose another one. I genuinely think we're gonna get a Steph, masterclass tomorrow night and really ride that to another one. But yeah, man, let's get back on the winning column. Hey Scott, man, appreciate you joining on. Appreciate the trades, the banter, the ball talk, man. Just real ball knower right here. But you got anything to shout out, man? I know you write for Last Word on Sports. Got
Yeah,
some articles out
yeah.
there.
Yeah, the articles have slowed down recently just with work and some other stuff going on. But yeah, you can find me. I write a few articles on Last Word on Sports. I write with one of my buddies, Kazra, as well. I actually did an interview with Trace Jackson Davis before the season. Really solid dude. Not just because he's a solid dude, but I also hope he gets his opportunity. Just because I think he could provide some energy to this team off the bench. But yeah, find me on there. Find me on Twitter. Find me watching these games and sweating through each game.
Hey man, misery loves company, man. So everybody go check out Alex. Pleasure joining, brother. And as always, guys, check us out. Keep following, keep subscribing. Really appreciate the uptick in listeners, the engagement we've been seeing on Twitter. And keep leaving comments and everything like that. Let us know your guys' thoughts and takes about how the Warriors can kind of get through this. And yeah, man. Follow us on Gamesters Clay, YouTube, all that, all the jazz. Follow me, Matt, Chuck, Alex. We'll drop the Twitter in the description and everything like that. But until the next one, man, let's get back on track, start stacking these dubs, and until then, man, peace.